was like 2 seconds.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello, is
everybody.
anybody there?
Welcome to our
Welcome.
Saturday webinar. I was about to say Saturday
Yes,
morning webinar, but it's not in the morning anymore.
Saturday early afternoon book club. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hope you like reading
All,
and
all
you're
zero
ready to tell
review.
us about what books you're reading. Sorry,
Introduce
what was that, Jadene?
yourself. I said all zero review. Oh no, I have the giggles. Oh
Oh,
no.
I think people are beginning to join us.
Fantastic. They heard. Introduce yourself, person. Please tell us your name. Tell us where you are. Tell us what you do. We want to become good friends in this time. So my name is Jadene. I am a teacher, apparently. And I work in Milan, and I also live in Milan. And yes.
Yes. And I am Anika. I am also a teacher in Milan in Myes, and I'm originally from Bangladesh, and I have lived in Malaysia for a while before I moved to Italy about 6 years ago.
Ooh. And have you lived in Milan the whole time?
Not really. I used to live in Rome the first couple of years.
Ah, so
Yeah, so it was a
what
big
made you
change.
move?
It's a good question. Well, initially it was for university. I enrolled in Politecnico in Milan.
Ah,
But
okay.
then,
And what did you
yeah.
study?
Oh, you're not going to believe this.
Tell
I
me.
started a master's degree in engineering, by chemical
Whoa.
engineering. Yeah, but then after one
No.
semester, I had to leave because it was too overwhelming to work and study at the same time. So I left.
Nice.
Yeah, I dropped out of masters.
Wow. But
I think I've been.
do you regret it? Do you miss the fact that you didn't continue with chemical engineering or?
No, not really, not really, because I started working as a researcher, like in the same field when I was in Malaysia, and it was really interesting for me to work in that field, but it can be quite lonely because you don't have colleagues to interact with. Mostly it's like independent work, sit at your computer or work
Okay.
in a laboratory doing experiments. So I think I do not regret being a teacher now because it's much more fun.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And what brought you to Italy, Jadine?
Don't know. Really, I don't have any reason for coming. I studied biology, so I've got a biology degree.
Oh, nice.
But I really didn't
Mhm,
like it. So I was glad
mhm,
when it finished and I went
mhm,
traveling, and then I decided that I enjoyed meeting people from different
mhm,
cultures and countries. And then yeah, I was offered, a friend invited me to Italy
mhm,
to stay with her, and she said I could teach here. So I said, okay, why not? Italy is a beautiful country,
mhm.
amazing food, lovely language. So of course I will come. And then I came,
Oh,
and Milan is still very beautiful. I still like Italy, but as you can
mhm.
imagine, I only arrived
Yeah,
in October. So,
yeah.
so
You have
it's
so
been
much to
quite an
discover.
interesting 6 months, especially because
Oh,
I've spent now 1 month just inside my house.
oh
Um,
goodness.
so, so yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah.
Hello, Alessia from Naples, lovely.
Hi.
Julia from Genoa, and Elisabetta from Rome. Nice. What a lovely, already nice mix of people from all over Italy. Um,
Cool.
what do you lovely women do? Do you study? Do you work? Do you have families?
Oh,
Adriana from
so
Naples as well.
yeah.
And do you all like books? If not, we will try to focus it on the language. If you like books, then maybe we can talk a bit more about books we like. Because I think Anika and I both like to read. So for
Yes.
us, it's a very nice topic.
Yes. If not, maybe you can get into reading these days, which is always
Oh,
nice.
it's true.
Yeah, I've been
It's
trying to
really
read
true.
books in Italian because I'm trying to improve my Italian. Maybe you could do the same in English. Yeah. So while we're waiting for your comments here, we can get started perhaps. So this lesson is about book reviews. We're going to talk
Oh,
about um, books we like, books we don't like, even. We can talk about, share
mm.
opinions, and so on. So this is,
Oh, and hi,
so
Andrea.
maybe before we
Sorry, I've
begin,
just seen your comment. So, Andrea from Bologna
oh,
also.
oh, nice. We have a nice combination of different cities. It's
Yeah,
always
I
nice
like
to do
that.
that. And now, maybe we can talk about the plan of today. So, first, we're going to be talking about book preferences, language to describe literature, and writing a book review. So, we don't have to write a book review. If you want, as a homework, sort of, you can just do it, but we can talk about book reviews.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, what's your favorite
Oh,
type of book and why? Oh, Antonio has a
Tony,
comment here.
Tony, we saw him, I think, just now in the 6 to 7. So welcome. You are everywhere.
Oh, yes, it's
um,
true.
yes.
Welcome back.
So my name
Of
is
course, you
Tony,
can stay here.
a student in Rome. Of course. Oh, but one thing we wouldn't
Oh,
say, can I stay here with us? Because then you are already including yourself. So can I
hmm.
stay here with you? We would say. Um, and Alessia, I am from Sicily. I'm a lawyer. Wow. But I moved to Naples 3 years ago to keep studying because I'd like to become a notary. Cool. Which do you like more, Alessia? Sicily or Naples? I hear they both have incredible food. So
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Cool. So, what's your favorite type of book and why? So, type, what by type we mean the genre of books, or
yeah.
genre can also refer to music or movies, different types of it. For example, the pronunciation of genre is a little bit strange. You pronounce it
Yeah.
Genre.
Spell it.
Yeah, yeah. T what types of um, books, music,
Yeah. So genre
movies,
is
and so on.
actually it's a word we use in English, but I think it comes from France, which is why the pronunciation of genre is a bit unusual even for English speakers.
Hmm.
Oh,
So, oh, sorry, I keep
I don't
hiding
think
your.
both of us. No,
Sorry.
it's me.
You go,
It's
you
my
go.
fault. So I love reading, though I wish I had more time to read. Remember, we conjugate read, non-judicial books. Oh no. I
Oh,
hope you have the time as well.
yes. Non-jurisdictional. So maybe she means like fiction. So fiction is like a storybook when it's not based on true story, not necessarily based on true
Uh,
story, something
no, but
invented.
don't forget, Alessia studies law. So I think at the moment,
Oh.
these are the books she has to study with.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
no, it's a good point. So yeah, the difference between non-fiction and fiction. So fiction is fantastical. It has been invented. It has been made up by another person, and non-fiction is anything factual or true to life.
Yes. I tend to like fictions more than nonfiction.
Me
Although
too.
sometimes I do enjoy occasional nonfiction.
I
You
don't
too,
mind
maybe?
non. Yeah, I don't mind non-fiction. Maybe if it's something that I can learn from. I don't mind learning
Yes.
about kind of political histories, even though I never
Oh.
remember anything. But I find that
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I prefer fiction because I think for me, I like reading as an escape. So it's a form
Mm,
of escapism, we can say.
mm,
So if something is too much like regular life, I don't
mhm.
really see the point. I don't want to
Yeah,
read this book. I can just live my life if, yeah.
I agree with you. Totally. So let's look at some genres of books there can be, right? So this could be either fiction or nonfiction. Um, so if you guys want to share about what type of books, what genres of books you like, you can just tell us about it. So these are the examples. So maybe Jaden can read the nonfiction column, and I'll read the fiction column.
Sure. So we have historical books, philosophy, science, arts, archaeology, biographies, autobiographies, and travel writing.
Yeah. So before I move on to the fiction list, here we have a comment from Alessia. She says Sicily and Naples are very similar, though the island life is more like a state of mind
Hmm.
that never leaves you wherever you go, and I love it.
Oh, that's nice. Island life sounds very relaxed.
Yeah,
Very relaxed pace of life. Adriana says, I like reading, especially novels or thrillers. Remember, we need the S at the end because we're talking generally. And
yeah.
thanks to the quarantine now, I have more time to do it. Nice, very positive. Um, So, Andrea, my favorite genres are horror or thrillers. Again, horrors or thrillers, or is horror. Um, I've read about 52
Whoa.
books by Stephen King. Whoa. I didn't even know that Stephen King had written that many books. And I can see even Andrea's little picture has
Mm-hmm.
some kind of air of
Ah. Yeah, it's a
creepiness
little
maybe
dark,
or a
kind
thrill.
of.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
dark, kind of.
Dark, exactly.
Yeah. I've got just
Do you
one book
also
of Stephen King in my bookshelf.
which one? And I was gonna say, do you guys also enjoy watching movies?
I'm
So
gonna
do
go
you,
get it.
Andrea, like okay. Andrea, do you like the film remakes of the Stephen King books? Or do you think they have been imagined badly? And Julia, I love reading different genres because, again, generally and plural of books, thrillers, historical, adventure, religious books. Wow, that really is a range.
Hmm.
And actually, that's the point because we don't have religion in our list of books. Maybe there would be some argument between whether they were fiction or non-fiction, and that's why it's not on there.
Yeah, it's not really
But
common.
yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to show the book that I have of Stephen King. It's called Bazaar of Bad Dreams. So it's a collection of
Mm.
short stories. So
Oh,
it's
I
really
love
nice.
short stories.
Sometimes it's nice. Yeah. So if anyone wants to tell us about your opinion, so I'm gonna go ahead and read the list of fiction books. We have romance novels, crime fiction, fantasy, the classics, sci-fi novel, horror, historical fiction, and spy thriller. Hmm.
Ooh. Yeah, so I really like, and as well as common, you can mix genres together as well. And I think now that there are so many more stories in
Hmm.
circulation, and also the kind of the world is more connected through technology. So we know um yeah, different stories, different things that happen around the world. It's a lot more common to have
Hmm.
something like a historical fiction or a historical romance
Hmm.
or like a crime fantasy, etc., etc.
Hmm.
Ooh,
Yes.
wow, so let's
What's
see.
your
My favorite genres, sorry, introspective reading. I like that. What do you mean introspective? So do you mean books that make you have to think about yourself, kind of like self-help books, or kind of guidance books? Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Hmm.
Sometimes I read crime as well. Again, Andrea, is I think the best movies based on Stephen King is The Green Mile. I didn't know that The Green Mile was a Stephen King book. Did you know that,
It
Anika?
was. Yes, I did.
Wow.
It's nice. It's really,
The
really
Green
nicely
Mile,
made. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. What's your favorite type of book, Jadine? If you have a favorite.
Um, oh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I guess I like fantasy books. I do enjoy crime fiction and thrillers. I like when there is a mystery that I have to solve, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't like anything too horrific or too gory. So gory is like kind of graphic descriptions of horror or violence scenes. Um, but yeah, I think my favorite kind of books, I don't know what genre they would come into.
Hmm.
So I really like books by Paulo Coelho, and I like
Oh,
books by oh, I've forgotten his name. He wrote And the Mountains Echoed.
Khaled Hosseini,
Yes, Khaled
Kite
Hosseini.
Runner. Oh, he's really
Yes,
good.
exactly. So these books are fiction books, but they're kind of set. I guess they're just fiction, but
Hmm.
I feel like they're set around important times, or they can be a bit philosophical. So again, like a
Yeah.
blended genre. Um, Antonio, my favorite non-fiction genres. Yeah, so genres again, guys.
Books.
Genre is plural. Historical books, science and travel writing. My favorite fiction genres are romance, sci-fi novels, and historical fiction.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice. Nice, nice.
What about you, Anika? Do you have a specific go-to genre?
Well, it's also really hard for me to pick just one genre. Maybe I like a different variety. Um, but mainly I enjoy fiction books more than nonfiction. So, for example, I really like Gregory David Robert. He wrote this book, Shantaram. Have
Oh,
you ever
I've
read
not
it?
read it.
Oh
No, but I
gosh,
know
you
of it.
must. It's a must read.
Really?
Yeah, I
Really?
think you are gonna like it very much because it's about India. So
Hmm.
it's like based around some real places and how the culture is there. But at the same time, he made up a lot of characters. But those characters were based on other characters that he had met in real life. So
Okay.
it's really nice. And it was about a little bit adventure, danger kind of thing.
Okay.
It's a very good
Oh,
one.
we have some more comments. Sorry, so Alessia. Yes,
Hmm.
readings. So we don't say readings, but we would just say books or stories that help you think. And again, we use the present simple because it's a general thing. Help you think about your self dimension and fill your soul with positive vibes. Oh, it might
Oh,
be any kind of book from romance to philosophy. It's more like a wide category. Okay, I like that.
yeah,
I really
me
like
too.
that.
Yeah.
And Julia, I like biographies, travel writing, and arts books. So Julia I guess she prefers nonfiction kind of books.
I can see that. I
Cool.
have read a really good nonfiction book that was about finance.
Really?
Really? I mean, I was surprised myself, but then I think I've learned so much from it. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've heard of this. And actually,
Robert Kiyosaki.
this is another kind of a book which is not listed, but maybe because it's maybe quite a new, I think, type of book, and it's called an essay book or an essay novel,
Oh,
and it's on a topic, but many people contribute. So they write a series of essays or letters, etc., or maybe just one person. has
Mhm.
written this, and then they get published together. Um, a really quite a famous one is called The Good Immigrant. I think the first one was in the UK and the second was released in the US.
Hmm.
And it was a series of essays written by different immigrants in the UK from different cultural backgrounds and
Mhm.
their experiences of life in the UK. So kind of like a series of short stories, but it's someone's true experience, someone's true, yeah, it's an essay.
Hmm. I've written it down
Yeah.
to read later.
Oh, okay. And like Julia, I sometimes love romance novels, so I don't always read them, but when I do, I love them. It's
Yeah.
true. If you get a good romance novel, it's very nice, very nice.
Yeah. Sometimes they make you cry.
Yeah, it's true. What is your favorite romance novel, Julia? Please let
Hmm.
us know.
I think it's hard to find a really, really good one though. Just like horror books as well, like horror films as well. Like it's
Mm.
really hard to find a really good one. But when they're
Yeah,
good, they're
and
really good.
it's true. But when they're bad, Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think sometimes the problem with books is when it's very difficult, I think, to find a book where you love the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because when I think about maybe a romance book that I love,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the ending, or even a film that I love, sometimes like the ending is just not what I want. And I love this
Yeah.
book, but it
Yeah.
hurts me that it has ended in this way, and there is nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes there's such disappointments.
yeah.
How about fantasy books? Do you like fantasy books, Jaden?
Yes, but actually, I'm still a bit of a child. So
Uh,
I really enjoy young adult fiction,
oh.
so kind of young adult sci-fi. And I think just because I like the morals, I think
Mm,
usually with fantasy books for adults,
mm,
they tend to be dystopian. And
mm,
dystopian is a type of book, but also it's a word we can use anyway, and it's
mm,
for an alternative reality where something really bad is happening. So at the moment with
mm,
the coronavirus, it feels
mm,
um, like we are currently living in a dystopian world.
mhm,
Um, and I do like them, but again, I think usually they can be quite dark or depressing and
mhm.
maybe end in a way that's realistic but sad. Whereas with young adult fiction, it always ends well. So I like that. And just as
Yeah.
well, for note, guys, the opposite of dystopian is an adjective. The opposite is utopian,
Mm,
which is yeah, where everything is
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah. Cool, cool. No, I understand your love for young adult books because they end well and everything. Because I enjoy reading children books sometimes.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, it brings back memories from the past, and I don't know. So I'm reading right now this book. I'm rereading this book.
Oh,
Uh,
well done.
Roald Dahl. It's not his autobiography, but basically it's his collection of memories from his childhood. So they're really filled with really cute little stories about what the his classmates did or teachers did. Oh, Alyssa here says it's hard to find just one favorite book talking about romance. I'd say The
Oh,
Unbearable Lightness of Being.
you
Oh, I
know,
haven't actually heard of
I
that.
have this book at
Hmm?
home in London, and I started reading it. And before I came to Italy, I left it at home, so I never got to finish it.
Oh. Did it
Um,
start out well?
yes, I
Oh,
liked it. Again, but it's strange. So, mead means what is mead?
I think it's a typing mistake, not me. It's read. So we asked a question earlier, and there was a typo. It's a typo,
Ah,
Julia. It's not mead, it's read.
But
Sorry,
mead is
guys, this is what you
um yeah, so it should be um read. But also just for your own interest, mead is actually a really delicious alcohol made out of honey.
meant.
And it's the
Oh.
oldest type of alcohol in the world. I didn't give the answer to my quiz.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that too.
I'll tell you after. I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe we can go back. You can go back to the video again and like comment right in the comment section. So I think
okay.
Antonio here is like here with us from the previous video. So if he's watching, maybe
I'll
he
go
might
back.
be wondering the same thing. Yeah.
But yeah, so Alessia says we must read it. Okay, we will read it. We will
Yeah.
read it together. Okay, so shall we continue?
Yes. Let's move on and see some of the quotes related to reading, the best writing. So look at this quotation about reading. The best moments in reading are when you come across something, a thought, a feeling, a way of looking at things, which you have thought special and particular to you. And now here it is, set down by someone else, a person who you have never met, someone even who is long dead, and it is as if you hand, as if a
As
hand
if a
has come
hand.
out and taken yours. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I like that actually.
mhm,
Because sometimes you feel like someone has written something you think better than how you have ever been able to express it. So it can help you understand yourself when you
hmm,
read. But I also like it mentions someone who is long dead. Sometimes you read a book by someone who has passed away, which just means to die.
mhm,
And you're amazed at how current it sounds, or yeah, how relatable. Because when I think about maybe women from 300 years ago, I imagine them to be very boring, um, and not really have certain opinions. And then I can read a book by someone from the 1800s, so over 1,000 years ago, and a woman is very sassy or very opinionated, or she thinks something that I think, and I'm always just amazed. Then you imagine what people used to talk about, and
hmm.
yeah, they used to talk about things that were interesting, probably. So, and Julia has also said, I love books by John Rico Carafilio. He is a magistrate. Okay, so Julia, are these the romance books or are these non-fiction books? Is it important that he is a magistrate, which is someone who works in law, I think,
Mm,
um,
yes, yes.
or or is that just a coincidence? Is it just something else extra?
Hmm. Okay. So here's an interesting question. For you, what makes a book a good read? What makes a book exceptional? Have you ever read a book which made you feel that a hand has come out to taken yours? Oh, it's happened to me so many times. Any book that's like very engaging and takes you to another world, like I have felt like someone has taken my hand and took me somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, I like
So
books that are about things that I have never, I can't imagine, but where
mm,
the feeling is of something I have felt. So the
yeah,
situation is completely different, but the feeling is the same. Those are my favorite kind of books.
right. For me, that would be fantasy books mainly. I love them a lot, and it's like as you talked about escapism before. For me, that's my escape from anything like stressful. So
Mm.
yeah, or science fiction books are really nice sometimes.
I'm sure I do like
So
some science fiction.
hmm. A good one I have read recently, it's called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Have you ever heard of it?
Uh, Yes, I've heard of it. I've not read it. I would like to get the podcast. But did you enjoy it?
Oh yes, it's. I find myself laughing. I found myself laughing while I was reading it because some things were written in a very funny way. And yes, the plot was really nice. So the plot is the story of the book, like whatever is happening. So the plot of the book, Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, was really nice, and it has a lot of cliffhangers as well. Like it leaves you
Oh,
wanting more. Like you want to know what happens next. So a cliffhanger
exactly.
is the part where um, they stop at a scene or the end of chapter or something where you feel like, oh, I want to know what happens next. So, yeah, what type of books
So
does
Antonia has a
Fabio
question
tolerate?
just
Hmm.
above. So what
Uh,
does hand come out mean?
oh yeah, so hand come out. So this is what Alan wrote in the quote that we have just read. So he has said, it's not a fixed expression, but here they have said, where are we? And it is as if a hand has come out and taken yours. So imagine that you're reading a book and it feels so real, it feels so engaging that it is as if the writer's hand has just come out of the book and just grabbed yours and took you to another world. It's like a metaphorical sense, obviously.
Hmm, I like it. And Julia has also
Oh, Antonio
answered
says,
us.
I guess Anika loves The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. And that is correct. I used to be obsessed with Harry Potter. And Lord of the
So
Rings as
Julia,
well. For a while, yes.
did you read them?
Yes, yes. Lord of the Rings took a long time, though. Oops. I think we have lost Jadene. Perhaps there was a problem with the line. We apologize for the technical problems. Okay. So, yes, we were talking about fantasy films, and I have read The Lord of the Rings. And the only thing about Lord of the Rings was that it was very long. Oh, hi, Jaden. We lost you for a bit.
Yeah, I was trying to write cliffhanger and it just kicked me out.
Oh, so I was just saying, yes, I read The Lord of the Rings, but it was really long, and I found myself having to read like pages and pages of descriptions. So in that terms, I think Harry Potter was more enjoyable for me, but the plot of The Lord of the
Okay.
Rings was amazing for me. So
Sometimes it is
Julius,
nicer to watch the film.
hmm, yeah, Julius is there about his magistrate experience. Okay, that's nice. Alyssa says, I like books that widen my point of view, my way at looking at life. Oh, yes. Those are really hard to come by, those kind of books. But once you find them, they're amazing. Yes, love that book. I wonder what you're referring to, Alessia. Oh, that's a specific question from Antonio. What's your favorite character? Have you read the Harry Potter, Jadine?
Yes, yes, I have.
Do you have a favorite
Um,
character from there?
um, Probably I liked the kind of trio of oh no, not the trio, but I liked Lupin and I liked Sirius Black.
He's
And
the
then
best one.
obviously at the end you have to like Snape because he's
Oh,
just,
yes. I was thinking
you
about
know,
him. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I liked him
Ah,
from the beginning. I mean, without him, the book wouldn't have been so interesting, I
yeah.
think.
You need a villain as well. You need like a small villain. And also Draco ended up being like a really complex character,
Yeah,
which was interesting. And okay,
yeah.
so Julia, they are either thrillers or introspective books. So
Hmm.
that's cool. That's interesting.
Nice.
If I could read in Italian, then maybe maybe I would try. But
Okay, Rosa says, I'm fond of books that talk about something which I have already experienced. I mean, it's like an experience or feeling is told, experienced by someone else. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what they said in this quotation that we read just now,
yeah,
right? A nice
yeah.
choice
I
of word
agree.
I'm fond of. Very good, Rosa.
Mm. So to be
Okay.
fond of something just means to really enjoy, to have a special place in your heart for this genre of book. Be affectionate for.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can move on to some vocabulary here. So these are some phrases that are used to describe the type of books that you're interested in. So the first one is I couldn't put it down. So this is when the
Mm,
book is so interesting that you cannot just close it up and put it down. You just have to keep reading it. So what is a book that you couldn't put down? Let us know. What's a book that you couldn't put down, guys? And Teresa, my
yes,
favorite character in Harry Potter is Harry Potter. Sorry for the expected answer.
it's
Yeah.
okay. That's fine. It
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
always have to be the side character.
sure. I also liked how, like at the beginning of the book, he was more of a child, and then lot of things became darker, and
Oh
like
yeah,
a lot worse in the beginning.
after
Yeah,
the fourth book, it's no longer for children. So
true, true. Okay, so what is a book you couldn't put down? Let us know, guys. And what about you,
exactly.
Jadene? What's a book you couldn't put down?
Um, when I was younger, I read a book or a trilogy called Chaos Walking. Again, it's a young adult science fiction book,
Hmm?
and a trilogy means a set of three. And the
Hmm?
second book, I don't remember what the second book was called. The Ask and the Answer, I think. And I read it. I started reading it in the afternoon, and then I stayed up the entire night and I finished it at
Oh,
about
wow.
7 or 8 in the morning, just because I couldn't. I would just say, okay, one more chapter or one more chapter, and then I just thought, you know what, I might as well just read the whole book. So in one sitting, and I've never done that before for
Mhm.
any other book. I've maybe taken breaks, but this book I just read.
Cool. Okay.
What about you? Have you ever
Talking
had a an unput downable book?
I think the book that I showed before, Shantaram, is something I couldn't put down because it was just something, it was so interesting for me. And there
Okay.
were a lot of plot twists, and it made you think, oh my God, what happens next? And you keep predicting things, and you want to find out what really happens next. So it's a really big book. It's almost 1,000 pages, but it took me a long time to read it, to be honest. But yeah, I couldn't put
Okay,
Harry Potter
Antonio.
down. Yeah,
Fair. And
yeah,
Alessia, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I never read that one.
me neither. They made a movie
Mm.
out of it.
Yeah, with Emma Watson, who was Hermione in Harry Potter. So that's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. So
Ah, Murakami. So I don't know if that is a typo, but I don't think 1984 is by Murakami. Oh,
yeah, I
maybe
thought that was really.
1984.
Mm.
1974? No, 1984 is George Orwell, right?
Yeah, yes, it was.
But maybe the book
Murakami.
is called 1Q84. Um, so you have to let me know, Adriana, if you made a typo or not.
I
But
have
I
never read a
really like.
Murakami book, and
I've read one. I've
yeah,
read
it was
one, and I really enjoyed it. Norwegian Wood, and I would read more as well.
good.
Really, really beautiful. And I don't know, maybe a reason I like Paulo Coelho and possibly also Murakami
Hmm.
is because I think they write in their native language, and then the
Hmm.
books are translated into English.
Hmm.
And it's really special um, because I really like the style of writing then is very different. So maybe that's why I enjoy it because it's really unique way of writing. And Adriana says, no, it's not a typo. Okay, so that's interesting.
Ah,
There is a book called 1Q84.
nice. Oh, okay. Anthony says, okay. Rosa says the red. I read. So red, even if it's the past, you spell it the same way. R
Oh,
E
no,
A
no.
D.
Yeah, she's corrected after.
Ah, okay. Sorry. So I read The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Oh, I love that book. When I was a child, I couldn't put it down, but I was completely immersed in the story. Oh, I love The Kite Runner, and then A Thousand Splendid Sun. That
Yeah,
Thousand Splendid Suns was amazing. It was very sad, but very, I mean, it gets you
yeah.
hooked. So
And
just like Antonio
immerse?
here says, hmm?
No, no, it's okay.
Yeah, so we have the meaning of hooked. So I was hooked means addicted to.
Exactly. And I just
Mm.
want to say, Rosa, immersed is a really beautiful word. If you are immersed, it's like you are surrounded by, um, like you cannot think of anything else. You're completely surrounded by. Andrea, I think a book is exceptional when the author brings you into the book and you can imagine being. So imagine being a character of the plot. I agree. I love that. When I was reading Anna Karenina, I imagined that I was Levin just to
Mhm.
save her from the train. Beautiful.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Okay. So yes, we have, I couldn't put it down. I was hooked. I was addicted.
Hmm.
Then we have, it's a page turner. It was moving or it was gripping. These mean different things.
Hmm.
It's a bestseller. It's based on a true story and someone is an avid reader.
Yes.
So what do these things mean?
Yeah. If you know the meaning, you can type them up and let us know. So it's a page turner is quite similar to the first one, I would say, wouldn't you? I couldn't put it down as a page turner.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like keep turning the pages. You can't stop yourself from reading it. So
yeah,
there's so many
yeah.
of
You
these
want
books.
you want to turn the pages because you want to know what's next.
Yes. Mm, I can think of another book that I haven't read not too long ago called A Hundred-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out His
Oh,
Window and
climbs out the
Disappeared.
window.
Yeah, kind of a mix of history and fiction. I don't know. It
Yes,
was really
it's a
lovely to
very
read that.
sweet book. It's a
Yeah.
really sweet book. Actually, I read a book similar,
Hmm.
and I'll have to find the name of it because I can't remember, but it was similar to that book but better about a very grumpy man. Really, a really beautiful book. Um, okay, so Alessia, we would say I am hooked by this book. To be hooked on something is, so we would say to be hooked by and a noun, and to be hooked on.
I think of substances when I think of hooked on.
So do I. I think only of substances, or you could say I'm hooked on and the ing version of the noun. So I'm hooked by a book, or I'm hooked on reading at the moment. I'm hooked on doing something.
Hmm.
I'm hooked on shopping. I'm hooked on drugs, or I'm hooked by this book.
Yeah. Oh, um, so I read Il Silencio del Onda and I couldn't put it down. So that would translate to Silence of the Waves. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. I'm not sure if they completely changed the title of the book. So I can't say if I've read it or not. Have you heard of it,
oh,
Jaden?
no, I
Silence of the
haven't. But
Waves.
I've just
Hmm.
found the book that I was thinking of.
Hmm.
Which I also recommend. It's such a beautiful book, and it's called A Man Called Ove.
A Man Called?
Ove, which I really recommend as well. Um, so Julia says that her book was moving and gripping. So the difference between moving and gripping is gripping. No problem, Julia. So if something moves you, it makes you feel emotional. But if something grips you, then
Hmm.
it's the same as saying I was hooked.
Hmm.
So if something grips you, you want to read it. If something moves you, you feel emotional towards it.
Yes, yes. Well, I was thinking that if anybody wants to read a book in English, you may not agree with me, so I need your opinion as well, Javin. I was thinking that The Alchemist of Paulo Coelho is a good idea to read in English. I mean, if you're not such a, I mean, if you're learning English, it could be a good idea because it's written in quite simple language, wouldn't you say?
Um, I don't really remember. Like I said, I really like the style of the writing. And because it's been translated, I'm assuming from Spanish, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe it will be quite easy for an Italian person to read because maybe some of the word order that I find really interesting and beautiful is more similar to how you would translate something in Italian.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe, but also the story is not very long. It's not very long,
Yeah. Also.
um, but it's very. We can also say captivating, which again just means you are gripped.
Also, it's very symbolic. It's a fiction story, but you can relate to it from with your real life, with anybody's life. So I thought it was a really nice idea.
Mm. So Rosa has asked, what is a page turner? A page turner is a book that you really enjoy and you want to keep turning the pages of the book because you want to know what is coming next. So it's similar to say, I couldn't put it down. I kept reading it.
Yes.
So then we have is a bestseller based
Hmm.
on a true story and an avid reader.
Yeah. Based on a true story. So let's talk about maybe books based on true story. So do you guys know a book that's based on a true story that you really enjoyed or want to recommend to us or each other?
Exactly. So based on a true story as well, this can be non-fiction or it can be inspired. It can be
Mhm.
fiction inspired by the life or a story of somebody else.
Yes.
Um, and a bestseller obviously just means that it's selling really well. It doesn't have to be the bestseller. Best is a superlative, which would mean it is the most, but um, a bestseller, when we describe a book like this, means books that sell really well.
Hmm. Sure.
But then finally, we have an avid reader.
Okay, so at this point, if you have any questions, feel free to write it up. Yeah. So a book that's based on true story that I have read not too long ago is I Am Malala. It's kind of like an autobiography, and that was really
Mm-hmm.
interesting because it's about this girl who actually won the Nobel Prize. I think she was the youngest Nobel Prize winner. Maybe she was 13 or 14
Mm-hmm.
years old when she won it. Have you heard about it, Jadene?
Yeah, I have. I have.
Yeah, so the book was really interesting because it was about a whole new culture and lifestyle and her struggles as well.
It's true.
Oh,
And I
so
just want to point out the difference between a biography and an autobiography. So an autobiography is when you write a book about your own life. So it's auto, it's about myself.
mhm.
And a biography is when somebody else has written a book about my life. So autobiography, I write it myself.
It seems like we have lost Jaden again. Sorry for the technical problems again. So yes, as she was saying, autobiography is written by the life of by the person whose life the book is about. Biography is written by somebody else. So Adriana says, yes, I read On the Road, which is based on a true story. I liked it because I reflected myself in what the author thought. Nice. I heard about that book. I've never read it, but I think if I'm not wrong, it's probably about traveling and adventures. So it's good to know. Great. Alessia here says, a gripping crime story I'd recommend is The Adversary by Carrere. Oh, nice. Good to know. To know. Okay, guys, we are actually out of time. So thank you very much for your participation and for joining us. I hope this has been useful for you. And okay, so oh, hi, Jadene, you're back.
Hi, yeah, it's actually the end of the lesson, so we need to
uh,
leave.
yeah,
um,
yeah, I was just about to wrap up, really.
did you tell them the difference between biography and autobiography? I don't know if
Yes,
I got. Okay, excellent.
yes, yes.
Um, so yeah, thank you guys for being so interactive and interesting. I've got lots of book recommendations now.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, excellent. So
Okay,
thank you so much. Bye.
thank you. Bye, guys.